Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okun, and I'm so grateful that you came today to support this process. I'm talking about money in the United Kingdom, and today I will be talking about a specific aspect of the money relating to money given for supporting housing costs. In the United Kingdom, we have a system of welfare benefit. This system is based on government policy, which you can find at gov.uk government website here in the United Kingdom. But you can also similarly look for information in similar places around the world. The United Kingdom is quite central to the global system, or known as globalization, creating worlds without borders, and governments coming together to form one big happy family, or otherwise an happy family. I am optimistic and I'm so hopeful. God has been good to his people, including here in Britain. And we have been talking about very serious topic involving poverty, involving riches, in a country like the United Kingdom, the sixth richest country in the world, having now led the globe. And still you find in the United Kingdom, as you would find across the globe, people who still languish in poverty, which I say should stop today. The world is enough. There is so much wealth, and it is a form of wrong, human wrong, where even one person, including in Africa, still living in poverty. We live in a world ruled almost entirely by technology, which is a good progress. Is an outcome of development, and we are so happy to be here once again. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Thank you so much those who have been subscribing, watching the videos, sharing with family and friends, and leaving a notification bell to click our notification bell, and also clicking like. Every little helps, and this is a family. This is an opportunity. YouTube is an opportunity. We cannot take it for granted. So welcome again to this wonderful channel, and also fantastic content. And stay tuned and continue watching. Let us get into looking at the specific of where people wait for a period of time. And also we're looking at the circumstance of family, where people are in a relationship, but sometimes people split up. This impact on benefit. Benefit is money given in the United Kingdom to people who need it. I have repeated this point. Watch this video alongside the rest of the video. And I'm working on a couple of things, perhaps more. For the moment, I will be recording my voice and posting it in a template. You're welcome to give your views on the topic, on this subject, and also on the channel and on the entire process. So if you are claiming something called SMI is support support for mortgage interest, which is actually money given to somebody who is actually on a mortgage. Mortgage, I said, is a form of credit. The money you borrow to buy a property, normally a property to live in, like your home. In my opinion, the benefit system should change. The law should change for benefit, such as to enable the Department of Work and Pensions, the government department here in the UK, to provide money for people who are paying mortgages. There is no logic, because when we talk about ownership in terms of borrowing money and paying for a home, it is not really ownership in lieu of the person necessarily occupying the property. The ownership in this sense is actually reference what would I say is something like as is a derivative of people who really own it, the mortgage company. Because if you don't pay them, they're going to take the property away. The first thing to be taken away is actually the property. So you are a homeless person waiting to happen. So the correct policy for a rich country like the United Kingdom for people who need housing is to build public housing and give it to the British people free of charge, beginning with people who are actually on benefit, and also beginning with people who are on national and minimum wage. These are low-paid people, and I've also suggested the government should use taxpayers' money wisely, as always, to raise the level of minimum wage and national living wage in the United Kingdom for people at the lowest bottom of the scale, working so hard to build this country. And if the government is intent, as it always does, on taking the British people out of poverty once and for all, which is what it should be happening on a daily basis in the first or the second or the third instance. The British people must leave condition of poverty behind by the government actually helping them. So we continue on this discourse, not straying too widely today, focusing on the specifics, but from time to time, talk about poverty, because when every time you see people getting this money, this is evidence of poverty in the United Kingdom, no doubt, no embarrassment, but there should be shame, because our country in the United Kingdom is extremely wealthy. Our world across the globe is extremely wealthy, including in Africa. The evidence there being in Africa, so many multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires who are measured in US dollar. African currency, declining repeatedly in value. So we now measure our currency in Africa by US dollar, which is the correct thing to do going forward. And Africa, in spite of itself, in spite of its history, can now, with the help of the Europeans, Americans, and also the developed world, can now literally take the African people out of poverty once and for all. I am anti-poverty, because poverty produces suffering, and suffering produces violence. Violence produces loss of peace and happiness. And if we are to be happy people in citizenship, and also in relationship continentally, intercontinentally, name it, we are to be sober-minded as governments, as leaders of the world, so as to get the people of the world out of poverty today and not tomorrow without delay. And this is a serious matter. This is actually survival of a question of survival. There are people who probably curiously believe if they ignore the rest of the population from existing, because you see, if people don't access adequately wealth, these are actually factors of livelihood, and people are going to die. And I say this in all honesty. If you think I am wrong, leave a comment below. If you think I'm right, leave a comment below. And thank you so much for your contribution to this channel. We are work in progress, and progress indeed we are making. I am so happy to be here once again and breathing, alive and kicking. I'm so happy. Let's go back to looking at the benefit system. Like I said, from time to time, I will take a break and provide my opinion, reflection on condition of poverty in the United Kingdom. We have been talking recently about we've been talking about cost of living crisis, which I am still talking about it indirectly, because you see, at the outset of talking about the cost of living crisis, I was also in declaring factually also that cost of living is caused by condition of income inadequacy in the United Kingdom. So if we are to move forward, then we are including eradicating incidences such as the cost of living crisis. The shortcut, more or less, is for a country like Britain to raise income level for those at the bottom of the pile. These people work so hard, even the ones who don't work are actually intending to work, except change has occurred in Britain as well as across the globe, where people now are relying increasingly on technology. We have 3D printer in China, for example, now building houses, building properties. So where will all the builders go? They are going to be jobless. They're going to be homeless. They're going to be penniless. They're going to be lifeless. These losses should be reduced and eradicated forthwith, so that people begin to live in optimism, in hope. And a lot of people are now dying of depression. They are committing suicide because people are so shocked that in a big country, in a mighty country like Great Britain, you name the dirty word, you still name the dirty word upon its citizens, upon its residents, upon the people visiting there, upon the people residing in the United Kingdom. You still mention that dirty word, poverty. And this is completely out of order. And the government should come back to its senses. And any government at all of its, any shade or any color of any political party can do this if there is a political will, leaving aside any semblance of political rhetoric and ideological menaces, as we have seen recently with certain political parties and governments. Immigrants, on the other hand, at the same time, are not necessarily the problem, because there are multimillionaires and multi-billionaire immigrants who are actually welcomed into the United Kingdom with open arms. And there is a kind of like sectarian approach to immigration policy, where the poor people are kind of treated as if they are not non-human, and they are not many, and they barely can scrape a living, or to that effect, for them even to risk their life at sea, for example, coming to a country like Britain. And my request to politicians is not to play political football with the issue of immigration, because they are flesh and blood, and let us be human. And I would suspect, probably thinking also, perhaps there are aliens now living among humans who look like humans, who are occupying a high position of power. Definitely King Charles is human. Rishi Sunak look like human to me. And there are a lot of people who look human, who are in power. And please, for goodness sake, get the British people out of poverty. I've said this over and over. And it must happen. It must happen in Britain, Europe, in America, because this is a security issue. It provides an adequate, a very serious security risk, and people are going to die. The rich, poor people will die first. The 90% who are not multimillionaires and multi-billionaires will die first. The very ones at the top are now on the street. They are destitute. People are suffering mental illness. They cannot access medical care. And today I phoned my local hospital. I took about, let me try to remember at the top of my head. I think I took about 4 or 5 minutes. I was so impressed. The last time before yesterday, when I phoned the same hospital, my general practitioner, my family doctor, I waited for more than 1 hour, and afterwards, because today I was asking for my repeat medication, so I was told from there that I'm due for a medication review, which I look forward to doing, and over the next 2 days I will probably get my medication renewed, and also I'm due for medical check, which I booked for May. And in May, I will be attending my appointment. And I was so happy with the service. And the next step is actually to try and secure a doctor's appointment if I need a doctor's appointment, because at the last visit, the last calling, the general practitioner, which is actually family doctor, I was not actually allowed to have an appointment with doctor for no good reason at all. Because when I requested an appointment with the doctor, I was told there was no appointment with the doctor. Then I say, can you book me an appointment with the doctor? Today, the lady speaking to me, she was very nice, a lady. She said to me, we don't pre-book appointment, which means phone again tomorrow morning. I said, I phoned today morning. Your office is, I was open at 10 o'clock, and I phoned at 10 o'clock. I waited for about an hour, and somebody answers, and another tells me the doctor is not available. When is the doctor is going to be available? We don't know. I'm a sick person. I don't see the doctor because I want a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a glass of whiskey with the doctor. That although that would be nice, but in practical sense, I need help from the British government to help the National Health Service of the United Kingdom, funding it properly, giving enough money to clinicians, medical doctors, care workers, nurses, administrators. The chronic cancer of British society in terms of trade and industry is how some class of people, including now increasingly high level middle class, upper middle class professionals like medical doctors, or even lawyers. Some lawyers are losing their jobs. And we live in a country where doctors are paid as little as £25,000 per month. And I say the minimum wage should be about £30,000 per month. And it should be equated with the benefit level, to match the minimum and the living wage, which is the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what level it is, but it does. Because you see, the menace of low pay has taken a toll on Britain. Britain is a great country. The world is a beacon of light to the world, and sure, it should continue to be. But there is an incidence of dark forces encroaching onto our society, and I find it really difficult to believe some of these dark forces are sourced and humanity. I think humanity are better than that. If you are an alien, you are welcome to leave our planet. We want to be human. We want to be people. We don't want to be caring people. You see, if you don't really care about people, if you really care about the British people, then we will judge you by your action. And your action will include getting the British people out of power, raising the minimum wage to at least £20,000 per annum, if not £30,000 per annum. If you are so pressed on budgetary restriction or whatever you want to call it, give the British people at least £20,000 per annum in national living or national minimum wage. That is acceptable. And the same for benefit. You don't need to complicate these things. You don't need to complicate employment law. You don't need to scratch your head to complicate benefit law, because you see, simplicity is the name of the game in a civil society with technology, with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is now being deployed at the Department of Work and Pensions, and I would think across the civil service economy in the United Kingdom, and also in the military service, the security forces. Artificial intelligence is going to be all over the place to replace human workforce, which is a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing, especially if by design or by sheer negligence we weaponize technology, we weaponize world wealth, and exclude the majority of the British people out of the national cake, as it were. This is actually suicidal for the many first, and then for the few finally. We face extinction of the human species. And I don't say this lightly. A lot of people think this topic is depressing, and it is. But because you see, we make our beds and we lie on them. If you are a young person, if you are an adult, if you are a pensioner or a pensionable age, do yourself a favor. Empower yourself. We live in an age of information. Every single citizen of the world should access the internet as of right across the globe. In Africa, we can barely, like scrape the surface of the incident where people literally fail to access electricity, clean water, housing, medical care. You list them. Women are dying of childbirth. This doesn't make sense in the modern world. This is depressing, but we lay our bed and lie on it. We make our bed rather and lay on it. Let us look at this specificity with the SMI and the service charges. And if you were splitting half, one you split home as well, and one person would be temporarily living in your own in their own home, and so in a time already spent waiting for SMI on their joint claim carries over to their new home, to their waiting period, and now that they are single. So these are some of the information and a continuation of what we left previously when we spoke about the same topic. And it's my pleasure to continue with this discourse for the foreseeable future. Leave a comment below if you like it. Leave a comment below if you don't like it. Stay tuned and continue watching. Thank you so much. So we say if they have split up but are now claiming for a different home, and then they need to start their waiting period again. So there is a discontinuity of waiting period. And we talk about waiting period, visit gov.uk and look at universal credit and its own aspects. And also watch my video, this and the other one. I know more than anybody else how tedious it may be to watch videos, but also doing a study of any sort is tedious enough. And we love entertainment, and I do like entertainment, but sometimes we have to learn a thing or two and feel good about life. Because you see, if we know, the more we know, the merrier we are. And so when you become eligible for SMI, the DWP will look at how much mortgage capital you have left to repay up to 200,000. The only update this amount once here, they only update this amount once a year on the anniversary of when you first became eligible for SMI. So you're looking at the 200,000 cap going up. A part of the mortgage is to pay for disability adaptations for a child, of your child, and also responsible, and for whom you are responsible for. And therefore, let us take an example. If £20,000 is for disability adaptation, the Department of Work and Pension will base a calculation on up to 200,000. This is some of the formula. Leave a comment below and let me know. And the Department of Work and Pension will assume a 2.09% annual interest rate on the capital, regardless of what interest you actually pay. They divide the interest rate by 12 to get a monthly amount. You can read more about how you repay an SMI. Like I said previously, SMI is actually repayable. So we look at an example where someone is paying off a 20 210,000 mortgage. And so we look at £5,000 of these being for disability adaptation for their child. And then we see someone can get a loan for interest on 2005,000, and that's the 200,000 cap plus 5,000 for the disability adaptation. So we talked about previously about benefit cap, the exception to this rule in situation where somebody is disabled or needing extra support on the basis of their disability. So the remaining 5,000 is ignored. So it defeats also in that way, or is actually forgiven for purposes of benefit cap. So you take about 2.09% of 2,500, 205,000, where where you are left with 4,284.50. So you take 4,284.5 4,284.5 divided by 12, giving 357.07 pounds. And then you get the SMI loan of 357.04 a month, and you share. And we look at another situation with shared ownership. And leave a comment below what you think about this policy. And thank you so much for your participation. And in a situation where you might be owning a home, if you are on a shared ownership scheme, and you part own your home, yes, in shared ownership scheme, this is condition sometimes pertaining with the social housing provided by housing association. If you live in the United Kingdom, you probably know housing association. If you watch the rest of the video, then you know that housing association is part of the social housing providers in the United Kingdom, and these are all government based in terms of funding and provision, and they will pay a mortgage on the part they own and rent on the rest, which is owned by a housing association, like I said. So they will have an agreement that shows how much they own and how much they rent. You will comment below and let me know of your thoughts about this information. So you may be in a position where you are able to get housing element for rent payment following the usual rental rules. If you are in a situation where of eligibility for service charge payments, this will also follow as the usual rental rules. There is a 9-month waiting period as there would be for a homeowner. Thank you so much for watching. Continue watching. Stay tuned. Thank you very, very, very much. So you could actually get housing element for your mortgage payments, but you might be able to get SMI as with a standard mortgage payment. Now, you won't have to consider the bedroom tax when working out the housing element for someone on the shared ownership scheme. So leave a comment below. Thank you so much for your support and your participation. Let us look at the something called the minimum income flow and how it works if you're self-employed. Self-employment, we have discussed many times as well. These are a primary source of income in the United Kingdom for people on low income. And so your universal credit payments might change. It depends on how much you earn. So each month, the Department of Work and Pension the DWP check if you have earned more or less than they expect you to earn. The amount the Department of Work and Pension expect you to earn each month is called your minimum income floor. You comment below, let me know what you think about this information. The minimum income floor is different from what you actually earn. If you earn less than your minimum income floor, the Department of Work and Pension will usually work out your universal credit payment as if you earn your minimum income floor. And if you earn more than your minimum income floor, your universal credit payment will be based on your actual earnings. For example, if your minimum income floor is 1,200 and you earn 800, the Department of Work and Pension might work out your universal credit payment as if you had earned 1,200 pounds. These are speculative figures. The aim is to pay you less benefit because universal credit is means tested. This means the Department of Work Pension will take more of your universal credit payment than if they had used your actual earnings. The Department of Work and Pension might not use the minimum income floor to work out your payments. For example, if you are sick or haven't claimed universal credit before. I have already commented previously here that the attitude of the government is to pay people less benefit. They are acting a bit like thieves, like robbers. Because these are legitimate people who live in the United Kingdom having worked, or their parents or their ancestors having worked to be Britain. They should not be treated this way. The Department of Work and Pension also, if you would care to check the minimum income floor if they apply to you before you work out your payments. So if you haven't claimed universal credit yet, you can check if you can get universal credit. We have discussed eligibility criteria and where you can also find out if you might or might not be entitled to benefit generally, but in particular the universal credit. So you can check if your minimum income floor will apply to you. If it does, the minimum income floor might apply if you are in gainful self-employment. This means being self-employed is your main job. You work regularly and expect to make a profit. And so these are the situation. And remember, these are people who are often on low pay, even if they are self-employed. They are distinguishable from entrepreneurs or investors who are normally multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. So this situation regarding benefit for people who may be working but who may not, according to the government, earning enough, therefore they might get out from the Department of Work and Pension. You will also need to be in all work-related requirements group. This means you are expected to look for work, or you are expected to work or be looking for work. And if you are not in gainful self-employment and the all work-related requirement group, the Department of Work and Pension won't use the minimum income floor. They will use how much you actually earned to work out your payments. You can find out which work-related activity group you are in by looking at your universal credit online account. Like I said, if you are not on the internet, it will more or less be impossible for you to claim your universal credit. It's going to be so difficult because you may be required to go to the library, which is itself very complicated. You may have to book a computer to access the computer. So looking for work is going to be even more complicated, or even maintaining your benefit is going to be more difficult than actually being in work. If you don't have an online account, you can find your work-related activity group on your paper claim and commitment. If you can't find your claim and commitment as your work coach, which work-related activity group you are in. You might be in the all work-related requirements group when you shouldn't be. For example, if you are a carer or responsible for children, you can have a check in the right in the right work related activity, if you are in the right work related activity group. So you have the minimum income flow before the 1st of August in 2022. The Department of Work and Pension didn't use the minimum income flow to work out a universal credit payment from the 30th of March 2020 to the 31st of July 2021. If coronavirus affected your business, the Department of Work and Pension also might not have applied the minimum income flow between the 1st of August 2021 and the 31st July in 2022. If you are in gainful self-employment, and the Department of Work and Pension would say you are in gainful self-employment, self-employment, they might not use the minimum income flow straight away. They might use your actual earnings instead. This is known as a startup period and lasts for a year. After a year, the minimum income flow might be used to work out your payments. If you don't know whether the Department of Work and Pension have said you are in gainful self-employment, check with your work coach. You won't have a startup period if either you have already had the income minimum flow used to work out your earnings for the self-employed work. You for the same self-employed work, or also if you have already had a startup period for any business you have had in the last 5 years. During your startup period, you will need to show your work coach how you are growing your business. If you don't do this, the Department of Work Pension can end your startup period early, and the minimum income flow will be used to work out your payments. You can also visit gov.uk to find more information about growing a business, which is good resources. So if you live in the United Kingdom, or if you also live outside the United Kingdom, you can be curious enough to visit. If you are too sick to work, the Department of Work and Pension might use your actual earnings instead of the income minimum flow. If you are too sick to work and it affects your ability to make a profit, call the Universal Credit Helpline. Tell them about your situation and the length of time you were expected to be sick. They might change your gainful self-employment status. If you are sick for 7 days or more, you will have to get a fit note. We have discussed fit note before. If you go online at gov.uk or actually watch the rest of the video, then you will know what a fit note is. If you live in the UK, you probably already know. You can get a fit note from the following healthcare professionals: your GP or doctor at a hospital, a registered nurse, a pharmacist, or an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, and the list is fairly there. And your fit note will either be printed or in a digital format. If you are not sure which kind you will get and how you will get it, check with the healthcare professional. If you get a printed fit note, check that the healthcare professional has signed it. If you get a digital fit note, check that it includes the healthcare professional's name. If the healthcare professional hasn't either signed your fit note or included their name, it could be rejected by the Department of Work and Pension, and you might have to get a new one. Now, this is a menacing policy, and it should be changed. The Department of Work and Pension should be funded effectively and resourced effectively to do the work on behalf of people who are already sick. And there is no point sending sick people to look for information as if they are not sick. And this is cruelty. They are not prisoners. They're the British people. So you should always keep your fit note. You might have to pay for a replacement if you lose or delete it. These are risks not worth taking for people who are already struggling, because it is a form of abuse in the first place for people to go on to benefit in a country where everyone should be in work, especially self-employment, if not employment, and if it is employment or otherwise, people should be supported to get adequate payment so that they get out of poverty. So you can give the Department of Work in person a copy, either printed or digital. Upload it to the to-do list section of your online account. You should also take your fit note with you when you meet your work coach for the first time. If you have a digital fit note, you can show it to them on your phone or on another device. You might need to give the Department of Work and Pension a copy of your fit note or upload it to your journal. Ask your work coach if you are not sure about how to do this. You can find a universal credit outline and all the details online on gov.uk, on the Citizen Advice website, a public website. As always, as I've said before, and the information are there. Lines are open between Monday and Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and calls are free for mobiles and landline. If the minimum income floor doesn't apply to you, your payment will be based on what you actually earn through self-employment. Check how much universal credit you might get, and also benefit calculation can be done to see if you get or if you don't get what you might or might be able to get and how much. You will have to report your earning every month to the Department of Work and Pension. Find out what earnings to report and how to do it online at the relevant links like I have posted here. If I've mentioned them here now and again. I'm still struggling to do a thumbnail, so bear with me. I'm in the process of actually trying to improve on that in terms of content creation. The Department of Work, if the Department of Work and Pension apply the minimum income floor when they shouldn't, you might be able to challenge their decision. This is called a mandatory consideration. Also, perhaps you can also appeal it. Work out your minimum income floor. Your minimum income floor is based on the national minimum wage and the number of hours you agreed to work when you met your work coach. The number of hours is in your written agreement called the claimant commitment. So you can also check your claimant commitment online or with relevant sources. So your expected hours will normally be 35 hours. That is 35 hours per week. Therefore, you might be able to agree to a lower number of hours. For example, if you have a health condition or a caring responsibility, so you can check online if you can change and how, if any, you can change your claimant commitment. These are some of the vital information if you're on benefit and also if you're not on benefit, because if you live in the United Kingdom, it's a matter of time, more or less, that you might actually lose your job. Then you will be in a position to know what to do or what not to do. If you're outside, then you can actually, if you're outside in the in another continent like Africa, for example, you can use this information to ask your local MP why your government in your country is not paying welfare benefit in a continent like Africa, where more benefits should be paid than in any other continent of the world. So this can be a trigger for a good conversation with your leaders, political leaders, and also challenging the African government to consider their policies on welfare, but also to reconsider their policy on dealing with corruption in Africa, which is now disabling the continent even more. So to work out your minimum income floor, you need to apply the minimum wage for your age group by the number of hours you are expected to work. That is to multiply that number by 52, which is and divide it by 12 to get a monthly figure. And thank you so much for your support, for watching this far. You are a champion. Let us look at the number of the number you are left with, being in your minimum income floor, being your minimum income floor. And this is also known as your individual earnings threshold. These are the national minimum wage rates, and if you are aged between 23 or over, your hourly rate before tax will be £10 for 2 hours, to 42 pence if you are 21. If you're 21 to between 21 years to 22 years, your hourly rate before tax is going to be £10 and 18 pence. If your age between 18 and 20 years, your hourly rate before tax is going to be £7.49. If your age between 16 to 17, your hourly rate before tax is going to be £5.28. Apprentices aged 16 to 18 or first year apprentices, if you are 19 or over, you get an hourly rate before tax of £5.28. And it is a mystery unknown to the UK government why children should get less money than adults, because in practice, especially if you visit shops and places like that, children actually cost more money to families than adults. So the logic only remains with the government, and I think this policy is so archaic and it should be changed with immediate effect. If your minimum income flow is over 797, the Department of Work and Pension might reduce it slightly for tax and national insurance reasons. If you want to know how much your minimum income flow will be reduced, talk to an advisor. These advisors, like I said, are running out of resources by the day, so government should consider helping them so that they can help the British people at local and national level. And the sooner the better this to happen, to kind of like rejuvenate the country as soon as possible. The country is now on its knees and it needs to get back on its feet, calculating the deductions from your minimum income flow. The Department of Work and Pension might deduct a notional amount of for tax and a national insurance contributions from your minimum income flow. This depends on how many hours you are expected to work and your minimum wage. I already said elsewhere about the national minimum wage to be increased at least to a minimum of £20,000 per annum after tax and national insurance contribution, a net of £20,000 in other words. And this can be done beginning today, as soon as possible is more practicable. So you can work out how much income tax and national insurance will be deducted on gov.uk. Gov.uk is the website of the British government. So check out the minimum income flow affects your payment. And each month, the Department of Work and Pension will use either your actual earnings or your minimum income flow to work out your payment. This depends on how much you earn and whether you live with a partner. If you live with a partner, the Department of Work and Pension will look at both your earnings when deciding whether to use the minimum income flow. You will need to work out your minimum income flow and work out what your partner's minimum income flow would be. To do this, use the process you use to work out your minimum income flow, add your partner's amount to your minimum income flow, and the math is done. This is your couple's earnings threshold. If you and your partner have earned more than your couple's earnings threshold, the Department of Work and Pension will use how much you actually earn to work out your universal credit payment. Check this information on universal credit link with the government UK, with the relevant website, and, and if your combined earnings are less than your couple's earnings threshold, the Department of Work and Pension will use your individual minimum income floor instead of your actual earnings. Your partner's income, your earnings could reduce your minimum income floor. This is a complicated calculation. You can talk to an advisor, and like I said, these advisors are suffering from lack of resources, which the government should sort this out as soon as possible. Check if your minimum wage income flow will be reduced, and as such, and your minimum income flow will be reduced if your partner earns more than your individual earnings threshold. And if your partner has earned more than your individual earnings threshold, you will need to add your individual minimum income flow to your partner's income earnings. Work out the difference between that amount and your couple's earning threshold. The difference is how much your minimum income flow will be reduced. Let us look at a situation, a scenario where your minimum income flow is 700 and your partner's individual earnings threshold is 1,000, and your couple's earnings threshold is £1,700. This is a situation, and your partners actually earn 1,200. Add your minimum income flow and your partner's earnings together, and then you would find 700 plus £1,200, which equals £1,900. Then you will need to work out the difference between this amount and your couple's earnings threshold, and therefore 1,900 minus 1,700 is equals to £100. This is how much will be taken off your minimum income flow. So you're looking at 700 minus 200, it will give £500. The Department of Work and Pension will use £500 of earnings when working out your universal credit amount. For example, for more about how the minimum income flow applies to couples, you can look online for further information, and accessing gov.uk and all the other relevant information already provided. Watch this video and the rest of the video. Thank you so much. So in effect, if you don't live with your partner and you earn more than your minimum income flow, the Department of Work and Pension will use your actual earnings. If you earn less than your minimum income flow, the Department of Work and Pension will work out your payments as if you earn the minimum income flow amount. We have already made comment on this point elsewhere. So once you know your minimum income flow, and if you it will be used to work out your payment. You can work out how much universal credit you will get online, and this is self-help. If you need help working, how much you will get, talk to an advisor. And let us look at another situation, another scenario. If someone is single and works as a self-employed painter, their minimum income flow being 1,167.33 per month. Then during January, they again earn 400. This means their earnings are lower than is their minimum income flow. The Department of Work and Pension will work out their payment as if they had earned their minimum income flow, which would be 1,169.33 per pound. This means the Department of Work and Pension will take more of their universal credit payment than they would have used than if they had used their actual earnings. So, reporting your monthly earnings, you will have to report your monthly earnings, your earnings every month to the Department of Work and Pensions. You can find out what earnings to report and how to do it. You can also manage your income and expenses from month to month. So if your earnings change each month, your universal credit payment will also change. This can make it hard to budget. That is the problem with the universal credit, and in my opinion, benefit systems such as that should be scrapped and actually revised and revisited. But one way or the other, what is most important is raising up the level of benefit to £20,000 per annum, in line with also when the national minimum wage is raised to the equivalence of £20,000 in net per annum. So let us look at the HMRC, each emergency's revenue and and I think this is really interesting. HMRC and customs. That's the word I'm looking for. Beg your pardon. Stay tuned. Keep on watching. I got confused a bit by our Majesty revenue and custom, because now is His Majesty revenue and custom. So you can ask the HMRC, which is His Majesty revenue and custom. This is our tax offices to let you pay income tax and national insurance monthly instead of yearly. This is called a budget payment plan. Find out more ways to keep your self-employed income and expenses more consistent on the Money Advice Service website. So you got Money Advice Service website. Anybody anywhere in the world can look at that. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is strength. Especially in a globalized world, we need each other more, especially also at level of information. Whether in the United Kingdom, you are away from the United Kingdom, you can still access this information and, put a big smile on your face. So let us try to see when we are reporting self-employed earnings to the Department of Work and Pension. So you need to report your earnings every month to the Department of Work and Pension. They won't remind you. And if you don't, then you are going to suffer. You will have to report earnings for each month. The Department of Work and Pension calculate your universal credit payments. This is called an assessment period. Your assessment period usually starts on the same date each month, starting first calendar month after the date you submit your claim online or over the phone. You can then report your earnings for the month from 7 days before and until 14 days after the end of your assessment period. Let us take a look at certain scenarios where a person can claim universal credit on the 8th of November, for example, and their assessment period starts on the 8th day of each month, and then therefore their assessment period runs from the 8th of November to the 7th of December. The 8th of November to the 7th of December. Then they will need to report their earnings for this period to the Department of Work and Pension between the 1st of December and the 21st of December. So if you can't report your earnings on time, and then the Department of Work and Pension might be able to base your payment on an estimate of your earnings. You will need to have a good reason why you couldn't report your earnings on time. For example, if you were admitted to the hospital on short notice, and no one else had access to your accounts, and if you don't have a good reason, the Department of Work and Pension will usually stop your universal credit claim until you report your earnings. This is normal. It's a very frequent occurrence, and people get so confused because you see there's a difference between stoppage and actually and also and cut. They say if your benefit is stopped, it is not necessarily cut. If it is cut, it means you have lost your benefit. It has been like eradicated, and stopping is a prelude to cutting it away, cutting it off, or whatever you call it. If you don't do so to report and to report a change of your circumstances in terms of earning, and in the process you fail to give good reason, then you may face some seriously drastic circumstances. Contact the Department of Work and Pension as soon as possible to explain why you are reporting your earnings late. You think of a probation service as if you are a prisoner who is being treated with a lot of strictness. It's like, the Department of Work and Pension treat claimants like prisoners. And this is actually the mistake made by the British government at the political level. And whenever I talk of the British government, I'm not talking about the civil service. I'm not wasting my time on them because they implement government policy. Government policy is created by politicians and their advisors. And so they are almost solely to blame for the problems. So, or they are also to take credit for the successes, in this case, the problems, which, in my opinion, is unnecessary, is actually politicized, is ideologically confused, and has to be stopped. You can contact the Department person as soon as possible. So, using the same numbers I've already referred to, Universal Credit Upline, which you can find online, and the sooner you do that, the better. They are open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Calls are free from mobiles and landlines. So you take care also to working out your earnings. So you add up all the income your business has received during the assessment period. These are called receipts. Then take away amounts you have spent on your businesses, and these are called personal allowance and permitted expenses. This will give you your final earning amount. So look into personal allowances. You will need to take amounts for the following of your earnings: income tax if you are paid any that month, national insurance if you are paid any that month, pension contribution you make. So let us look at permitted expenses. You should take away amounts you have spent on reasonable expenses for your businesses. This might include stock or equipment rent for business premises, office or storage spaces, insurance such as liability or building insurance, repayment of interest on a loan up to £41 a month, VAT. You can look at cost of a vehicle. You can deduct expenses for the cost of a vehicle you use for your business. The amount you can deduct depends on the type of vehicle you use. If you use a car for businesses, you can deduct a fixed amount for each mile you travel for business. This is called a flat rate deduction. If the vehicle isn't a car, for example, it's a van or motorcycle, you can choose to deduct either flat rate deductions, the actual expenses of buying and using the vehicle, including petrol, service, service, repairs, insurance, and MOT, motor testing facility. Flat rate deductions are 24 pence per mile for a motorcycle. For other vehicles, they are 45 pence per mile. For the first 883 until 3 miles, then 25 pence a mile after that. If you use your home for business purposes, you have to deduct expenses for use of your home using flat rate deductions. The amount of the deduction depends on the number of hours you spent working at home during the assessment period. Let us look at hours spent working at home during the assessment period and also the flat rate there at between 25 and 49 hours. You deduct deduction rate at standing at £10. Between 50 to 99 hours, you get 18 flat rate deduction of £18. More than 100 hours, you get a flat rate deduction of £26. So let us now look at your property usage. There are other rules if the property is used mainly for business purposes, but some personal use. For example, if someone lives at the property, you can get more. Detail about the rules around expenses for property from section H4 240 onwards on the advice for decision makers, chapter H4. These are actually information you can get, and if you are an advisor and if you are also somebody who is interested. So you talk about reporting you are earning, which we will look at next time we meet. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Thank you so much, and click notification bell, click like, and leave a comment below. See you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye. Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon, and I'm so grateful that you came today to support this process. I'm talking about money in the United Kingdom, and today I will be talking about a specific aspect of the money relating to money given for supporting housing costs. In the United Kingdom, we have a system of welfare benefit. This system is based on government policy, which you can find at gov.uk, government website here in the United Kingdom. But you can also similarly look for information in similar places around the world. The United Kingdom is quite central to the global system, or known as globalization, creating worlds without